The mystery of the Mary Celeste. On December 4, 1872, a small two-masted brigantine named the Mary Celeste was found adrift and abandoned in the Atlantic Ocean, about 400 miles east of the Azores. Not a single soul was left on board, and there was no sign of violence or struggle. The crew had simply vanished. Their personal belongings and the ship's valuable cargo were all untouched, making the Mary Celeste one of maritime history's most puzzling mysteries. The Mary Celeste had set sail just a month earlier from New York Harbor, heading to Genoa, Italy, with a hold full of industrial alcohol. She was captained by Benjamin Briggs, an experienced and well-respected seaman, who had brought his wife Sarah and two-year-old daughter Sophia along on the voyage. With a crew of 7 men in total, the journey seemed to be off to an uneventful start across the wintry Atlantic. Then suddenly, on December 5th, the brigantine de Gracia spotted the Mary Celeste adrift on a calm sea. Boarding the silent ship, the crew found warm food on the stove, an unset table, and a pump strangely dismantled, but no people at all. The lifeboat was gone as well. It was as if the crew had suddenly decided to abandon ship without any rhyme or reason. Their fate remains a profound enigma to this day. This bizarre tale soon gripped the imaginations of the public once the salvaged Mary Celeste arrived in Gibraltar a week later. Wild theories quickly spread. Some claimed bloodstains proved a mutiny and massacre at sea, while others spoke of ghost ships and the Bermuda Triangle. A far more likely scenario points to the 1,700 barrels of alcohol in her hold. If 9 leaky casks recently discovered by the captain had caused a small explosion, it may have convinced Briggs that the Mary Celeste was in danger of going up in flames. Hence, the hasty abandonment. The captain perhaps planned to tow the smaller yawl boat behind the ship until they reached safety. But the line snapped in rough weather, leaving them stranded. Without food or water, all aboard would have perished. Still, definitive evidence remains elusive, keeping the mystery of Mary Celeste alive for over 140 years. The enigmatic ghost ship changed hands numerous times before finally sinking off Haiti in 1885, taking any last secrets down to a watery grave. Yet her story has inspired generations of writers, from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle to Hollywood screenwriters. The name Mary Celeste has become synonymous with mysteries of the sea. While we may never know the full truth, the allure of this maritime legend, spanning over a century of speculation and searching, seems destined to sail on forever. Early voyages. The origins of the soon-to-be mythical ghost ship date back to 1861, when a brand new brigantine was launched onto the shores of Nova Scotia, Canada. Christened the Amazon, she was constructed of local oak, yellow birch, and tamarack wood in the shipbuilding village of Spencer's Island along the Bay of Fundy. At nearly 108 feet long and weighing over 280 tons, the Amazon was designed as a fast and rugged vessel that could traverse the demanding waters of the North Atlantic. Her shallow hull and sharp bow allowed Captain Robert McClellan to safely navigate through icy straits in search of Arctic cod and seals. For over a decade, the Amazon crossed the foggy Atlantic over 30 times, braving winter storms and crashing waves without major mishap. By 1867, the ship passed into American hands when she was sold to Richard W. Haynes of New York. Her registry was shifted to the port, where she underwent a refit and was renamed. As the Mary Celeste, she plied mostly uneventful trips along the eastern seaboard and to the islands of the West Indies for the next few years. The ship then faced a series of short-lived owners that led to incidents of financial mismanagement and small crashes. By the end of 1871, a consortium of New York investors led by James H. Winchester came to her rescue, hoping to make good profits in the Mediterranean wine and alcohol trade. Extensive repairs and upgrades were done before Captain Benjamin Briggs was brought aboard on largely Winchester's high recommendation. An experienced mariner and Maine native, Briggs set sail down to Italy in September 1872 without incident before loading the Mary Celeste hold full of 1,709 barrels of wine and industrial alcohol for her return trip home. With a valuable cargo that promised to more than cover her upgrades, Briggs assembled a crew that included 2 trusted old comrades. Albert Richardson signed on as mate, while Andrew Gilling took the post of ship's boy. Briggs also took along his wife Sarah and little daughter Sophia, evidence of his complete faith in an uneventful voyage ahead across the pond. Little did the family or crew know that barely 2 months later, something would lead all 10 people on board to vanish without a trace into the annals of legend. The sighting. Two old friends restlessly scanned the horizon through spyglasses, searching for the peak of a topmast or billow of sail. Captain David Reed Morehouse and Chief Mate Oliver DeVoe of the merchant brig Dei Gratia had set off from New York Harbor. On November 15, 1872, just a few days after their good friend Captain Briggs left them behind on his own parallel route. For over 2 weeks, the two ships followed the same general path towards the Strait of Gibraltar, and the valuable cargo of Italy's alcohol awaited them both. Now in the eastern Atlantic, the Dei Gratia found itself slightly ahead of the Mary Celeste's charted course. However, on this clear December morning, as their voyage neared halfway, there was still no sign of the other ship. With building unease, Morehouse and DeVoe continued their watch for Mary Celeste's distinctive red-painted rail and the flutter of her mainsail. Finally, near midday, DeVoe spotted a tiny speck against the horizon through his spyglass. As he kept the vessel firmly centered in view, the image slowly resolved itself into a two-masted sailing ship that matched Mary Celeste's profile. Morehouse swiftly ordered the Dei Gratia to change its direction as DeVoe excitedly called out the sighting. Could it be their overdue friends just north of Portugal's Azores Islands? As the Dei Gratia drew closer over the next few hours, however, something seemed eerily amiss. No crew members could be spotted on deck, no activity stirred from within. No signal flag responded to their approach, and no one appeared at the ship's rail expectantly, as was custom. As the silence stretched, Morehouse's excitement turned slowly to dread. Finally pulling up alongside her starboard beam around 3 p.m., a shocking sight met the peering crew. The deserted Mary Celeste sat adrift with tattered sails and not a living soul aboard. Hails and calls went unanswered, save for the groan of boards and rigging. DeVoe would write there was not a sign of life to be seen or heard. For the once proud ship had now become an empty, ghostly wanderer on the open ocean. Morehouse ordered a well-armed boarding party to enter the abandoned vessel, fearing some tragedy must have taken place. Yet as the men tentatively searched the still ship, they found only mysteries and more distressing questions awaiting them inside. Evidence and clues discovered. Stepping aboard the Mary Celeste, Chief Mate Oliver DeVoe led the first potentially dangerous foray into the mystery. He and 2 other armed sailors warily crept across her snow-dusted deck, finding all lines neatly clued and coiled, yet immediately sensing this was no ordinary abandonment at sea. Peering toward the stern, the ghostly helm stood clamped tight as if to hold her steady, but with not a soul left guiding the once proud brigantine across the waves. Checking through a skylight, DeVoe spied signs of life frozen in time below deck. A keen mariner's eye took in details and anomalies: spilled water in the galley, recently used cooking pots with strange reddish stains, and half-eaten bowls of food sat untouched, all covered in mold. After days of abandonment, the examination room door oddly swung wide open as well. Why had Captain Briggs or Mate Richardson not joined them for a meal, or snuffed out the lamps? Descending into eerie silence within, DeVoe noted that charts and cargo papers were missing from the desk and navigator's cabinet. The only sounds were the creaks of stray boards underfoot. A makeshift sounding rod, improvised out of deep-sea lead weighted with iron, sat drying upon the table, left behind after confirming no water flooded the hold. Peering towards the crew and officers' quarters, beds and clothing were in place, yet covered in flour, for reasons unknown. It seemed the crew captain, wife, and child had fled rapidly, without coats or shoes. The cargo hold seemed equally undisturbed, save for 9 enormous barrels abandoned atop the rest. Master Mate DeVoe realized each was distressingly empty of alcohol, their red pine staves loose. But why had Briggs left valuable cargo behind he desperately needed delivered? And where was Mary Celeste's small yawl, shipped ashore boat to even escape on? More confusing evidence without answers.